Good evening. Welcome to Channel 8 Sports and East Brunswick High School football. Hi, I'm John Meggiolaro, being joined by Jim Allinder and Phil Hill for tonight's game between East Brunswick and Madison Central. And Phil, tonight we'll change it around a little bit and talk about the visitors, Madison Central. They come in with a 23-game winning streak, undefeated. What more can you say about them?
You said it all, John. Matter of fact, I don't have anything else to say. Now, Madison Central, I saw them against Serval last week, and in a hard-fought battle, Serval, an improving Serval team, gave them a tough way to go. But Madison Central was used to winning, and they prevailed. Bob DeMarco talked to him earlier. He practices against the wishbone all week, so he's not terribly concerned about the wishbone, but he is concerned about East Brunswick's short passing game. And he's had to make some adjustments. He says he's going to give some different looks defensively in order to try to deal with it. But he's really concerned about this game. I mean, all coaches are concerned about game, but I have a feeling that Marcus Borden has them worried today.
Well, Jimmy, as we look at East Brunswick, they come in 3-3, and certainly, you know, fresh in the minds is that last regular season game, and I don't mean the playoff, but I believe it was 55-3, the final score.
Right.
And I'm sure East Brunswick wants to come in and get some revenge.
Yes, and I think they remember the playoffs also, because that was somewhat of an embarrassment, if you will. A couple of things. This is not the same Madison Central team that we saw last year that obliterated everybody, and I think Phil acknowledges that also. I expect a close game tonight. I really do. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. Off last week's performance against J.P. Stevens, I think East Brunswick has a renewed confidence, if you will. They played a fluid offense. Troy White was truly comfortable for the second week in a row. He had a good game against Piscataway, and he also threw well, handed off well, ran well, and really gave Madison Central some things to think about as they go on the field tonight. But what really impressed me last week, as we alluded to a number of times, was the defense. The defense was just excellent. I think there are so many good quality players on East Brunswick's defense tonight that they may find the key to stopping this wishbone offense that Madison Central runs so well. The linebackers, I think, will be key. Picard, Rulo, Kammer, and we can go on and on, Casanelli. If East Brunswick can come up with that effort of stopping the defense, I think their offense is going to provide enough of an impetus to be able to score some points, because Madison Central, Phil, I guess Serval was able to run on Madison last week.
The Leaks kid ran for 163 yards against Madison, surprisingly so.
Right, so I think East Brunswick is going to be able to move the ball tonight, and I think that combination is going to make for an interesting game.
Well, it's always interesting when East Brunswick and Madison Central gets together. A lot at stake here for both teams, particularly East Brunswick. And we'll be back with the start of the action in just a moment. Well, good evening again here at J. Doyle Field, East Brunswick, Madison Central. You see the parents of the seniors coming off the field. They were introduced prior to the game, prior to the start of the game. A tradition that has, I guess, been undertaken here now for about the last 5 years, or since we've been broadcasting that I can remember.
It's a real nice touch, John.
Right, something that Marcus Borden did, and all the seniors are accompanied on the field by their parents, this being the last home game of the year for East Brunswick.
And a tradition that we have started here, which we will carry forward at our last game, which will be Woodbridge, is to announce over the air the names of those seniors. And we'll be sure to do that when we cover the Woodbridge game. But tonight it's Madison Central. It's the Spartans and the Bears. Madison Central led by Brian Donnelly, who took over for Walsh at quarterback. And Phil, he really is the mojo of this offense.
Brian Donnelly is that, and the difference between he and Troy White is that he received a lot of experience last year. Most of the times the games for Madison Central were over at halftime, so many times he got to play as much time as Ed Walsh. So he's very experienced, a super offensive player, and a terrific defensive player, as you'll see.
Right, DeMarco has even mentioned that Donnelly, if he chooses to play football in college, is a legitimate Division I defensive player. So it's something to watch. He's a hard hitter. He plays with reckless abandon. An all-state baseball player, right, Phil?
Third baseman.
Third baseman for the quality Spartan baseball team.
As you see, Greg Rulo and Troy White come out as captains for East Brunswick to meet the Madison Central contingent. I think one thing we have to keep in mind, and Jimmy mentioned it during the pregame, this is not the same Madison Central team. They had a tough game against Edison. Serval ran all over them, as Phil mentioned. How do you exploit them, Phil? You've seen them enough.
Well, they may be vulnerable to the pass. We'll have to see. As I said, DeMarco was certainly a little afraid of East Brunswick's passing game, but they're still very tough, John. They're not quite. No one can be the team that they have been the last 2 years, but defensively they play a solid game, and offensively, while they're not quite as explosive, they will get to you sooner or later.
You know, Phil, one of the reasons that East Brunswick was able to pass was the job of the offensive line. They did give Troy White, even though he's a rollout quarterback, they were able to keep out for the most part, J.P. Stevens linebackers and defensive linemen, and that'll be a key. Not playing for Madison Central tonight is one of their defensive leaders, Mike Obzarny, number 57. You see him there without the pads on, behind Donnelly, and I believe 98 is Dennis Samados. We don't quite know if that is Samados or whether he's wearing 99, but we'll get that checked out.
Samados, an extremely tough player, and will be blowing in there a number of times. We'll call his name a lot tonight.
What do you expect East Brunswick to do on offense? Come out with the wishbone or try to open it up right away with the passing game? Jim?
Well, what's going through my mind is whether East Brunswick may try the hurry-up offense. Up-tempo everything and see if they can keep Madison guessing, a la Cincinnati Bengals in professional football. It's a good I think we're just going to have to wait and see. I think that fast tempo offense might find a little niche here tonight.
All right, we're about ready to go. East Brunswick in the home green. They'll be moving left to right on your screen, and they'll be receiving. So they'll have a first chance or first crack at this Madison Central defense. And we'll find out right away what they're going to do offensively. To kick off will be number 45, Amato, for Madison Central.
All right, he's the fullback on offense. Was the kicker last year. Kind of got lost in everything. But he was the kicker last year for Madison Central. Now he steps up as one of the running backs, fullback on offense.
Back for East Brunswick is 39, Ted Lung, and 33, Pat Castanelli. Surprised that Pilato's not back there, but they're going to put Lung back there. And we're about ready to get this game underway. Madison Central coming in with a 23-game winning streak. Kick is on the ground. This is Johnson. Varnell Johnson still on his feet. And he gets up around the 40-yard line, just shy.
Phil, I like the way Varnell Johnson played last week. He really was hitting hard. We saw him primarily on defense. I wonder if he's going to be inserted on offense.
I would expect that he would be, Jim.
All right, East Brunswick will have it 1st and 10 on their own 37. First offensive set for the Bears. And they put the trips out wide right. Shotgun formation for Troy White. So looks like Borden wants to open this up right away. White looking, firing long for R.J. Davis, intercepted. Still on his feet. That's, I believe, number 44, Beats.
Right, Beats a running back. And it didn't look like Davis was expecting that pass. He was still running when the ball was being thrown.
Well, the ball looked underthrown, and God, you hate to see this first offensive play, but now East Brunswick defense is going to be called on to do the job.
You're right, John. You don't want to get put in a hole right off the bat, and if we think back to the last couple years, that's one of the things that's happened in this Madison Central series. So let's see how the defense responds.
No mystery as to what Madison Central will be running on offense. It's the wishbone. Donnelly at quarterback, number 7. Straight off to Beats, and Beats pushes his way for about 3 yards. If you just joined us, East Brunswick first offensive play, interception by Beats, and he returned it about 40-some yards. Madison Central has it now 2nd and 7 on the East Brunswick 13.
Watch Donnelly on this play. He loves to pitch, run the option to the outside.
Donnelly fakes inside, no, gives it to the fullback. And that's 45, that's Amato.
Well, you see Madison running that wishbone, and the difference basically between theirs and East Brunswick is that Madison's is a true read. I mean, Donnelly really does do the reading at the line of scrimmage there.
3rd and 3, the ball now at the East Brunswick 10. Donnelly keeps, he's going to go outside. Pitches back. And Drop for a loss is number 11. That's Lige, Dwight Lige.
And I'll tell you what, East Brunswick got away with a
You're
late
right,
hit
Jim.
there. Scott Kammerer landed on Lige very, very hard. The referee didn't see it, apparently. So the Bears come up with the defensive play here. It looks like we're going to have a field goal attempt.
Well, Cosmo Amato, he kicked the 34-yard field goal against Edison, so he has the ability.
But I got to think this is a moral victory for East Brunswick. Their defense shutting them down from the 13-yard line.
No doubt about it, John.
This will be a 20-yard,
30.
well, the 10-yard, 30-yard field goal attempt. Amato, kick is up, and it looks good. So Madison Central gets on the board, 3-0 with 9:50 to go here in the first period.
Still in all, being able to keep Madison Central out of the end zone that series after the interception is a moral victory for East Brunswick, and they're going to have to pick it up and see if and try again.
You're right. The defensively, they seem to be doing the job. Those linebackers, they had just about every player covered and strung it out to the sideline. Did not let Madison pick up much yard. Therefore, they had to settle for the field goal.
Well, we saw East Brunswick in its first offensive play open up with the 4 receivers, and so we know right away that Borden wants to throw.
Amato getting ready to kick it off. Madison Central on the board quick with the field goal. Lung and Castanelli again back deep. Amato, good kick. This is going to be Castanelli from about the 10-yard line. Up the middle, still on his feet.
Ooh.
Crosses the 40, I believe. He'll be close to the 40.
And I believe Dennis Amato's on the tackle. He's a rather aggressive young man. He's doing a little shoving after the play's over.
So the Bears will start off where they had it last time, 1st and 10 on their own 37.
All right, one thing that's not different with Madison Central is that they're still a very intimidating team.
All right, East Brunswick comes now out in the wishbone. Rulo up the middle. Rulo fights for about 4 yards. And a flag is thrown. A late flag. And we'll see what the call is here.
Well,
Holding, illegal use of hands. I'm not sure who it's against.
Against Madison.
Getting some poor signals.
right,
from
the official did not point to who the penalty was on. Well, he's marking it off.
So it will be against Madison Central.
Well, we know this is a balmy evening, but the head official is wearing shorts tonight. I guess they all are.
They all are.
I didn't even notice it. Okay.
I think we have the makings, gentlemen. Personal foul against Madison Central is the official call finally.
This is a nice evening for a late October game, I'll tell you what.
A beautiful evening. So East Brunswick has a 1st and 10 now in Madison Central territory on the Spartans 43. Inside handoff.
Whoa. Official
and that
gets
was
nailed on that one.
Christensen on the carry.
And we talked about it last week about these, the center of the line being the area where Madison is the toughest. But as I said, Serval was able to run on that middle. So
Pickup of 1 yard. It's 2nd and 9. East Brunswick staying with the wishbone. White sprints to his right and loses about 2 yards. Metzger on the tackle, number 63.
Metzger and Dennis Amatos, number 98.
And it looks like Metzger is the one that's calling signals tonight with Obzarni out.
Correct.
East Brunswick sending in 3 receivers on 3rd and 11. Ball back to the Spartan 44, and they put the trips left this time. White in shotgun formation. He'll roll to his left, looking, plants and throws over the middle. He's got his man. Oh, Tenora dropped the ball. I'm sorry, it's Borgen, Craig Borgen, number 8.
Yeah, he was open.
And he had a first down if he would have caught it.
Right.
I talked about it at the top of the game. Marco was concerned about the short passing game, not necessarily concerned about the long passing game. Expect the Bears to come back to that.
That was a nice pass. Right on the money.
Really.
And the other thing, he was open, wide open. So Staley into punt, and a chance to pin Madison Central back in their own territory. Good snap. Staley puts it up nice and high. Fair catch signal by Donnelly. at about the 23-yard line, and that's where Madison Central will start. Spartans on top, 3-0 on a 30-yard field goal by Amato.
So this is the first true opportunity that Madison will have to spread its offense out and see what it can do. Watch your linebackers on this for East Brunswick. They're the ones that are going to stop this play.
A little counter move inside. That's Lige. Lige picks up a couple, say 2, call it 2nd and 8. Phil, that little counter really hurt them last year.
Last year it certainly did, and I think the Bears remember it, so they're going to try to be prepared for it, John.
7:35 left here in the first period, 3-0 Madison Central. They're looking at a 2nd and 7 on their own 26. Inside handoff.
Yeah, that was stopped nice. That was Kammerer again. It's the second tackle for him.
Davis on the carry, so it brings up 3rd down, something Madison Central isn't accustomed to.
And I'll tell you the thing is, you got to stop that fullback if you really want to wreck the whole wishbone.
Well, Kammerer just shot through there. He saw the ball.
Don't look for Madison Central to pass in this situation, John. We've seen them in need of a much longer yardage and not go to the passing situation. Continue with the wishbone.
3rd and 6 from the 27. Donnelly, little spin, keeps it, still on his feet, and he may have gotten the first down on second effort.
Well, Varnell Johnson made the initial hit, and I think he'll learn from that experience that you have to not only hit the player, but you have to tackle him.
You have to wrap.
First down, Madison Central. And with this offense, it eats up a lot of the time. 1st and 10 for the Spartans. Fullback with the ball, that's Davis. And he gets to the line of scrimmage, and that's it.
Right, that was good tackling on a part of a number of East Brunswick players. Garriman, I believe, it was the first one to get to him. But Mark Wolfscale also was in on the tackle.
And that's, as I point out, that's the important thing. If you can stop that fullback, then you only leave him with 2 options. And with the speed that East Brunswick linebackers have, they may be able to handle that options, those 2.
2nd and 10. Ball resting on the Spartan 34. 5:45 left in the first period. Donnelly drops back to throw. He's looking to his right. He's got a man. Johnson, off his hands. That's Cowell. He's going to go all the way for the score.
Mercy.
Yeah, touchdown all the way. Boy, how many times has East Brunswick been burned on that type of play where the defensive player tips it up in the air and the other receiver gets it?
But I'll tell you, just an excellent call. If you remember, there's a flag on the play, however, gentlemen. But I mentioned earlier that when you expect, when you're in a situation that you might normally pass, Madison Central doesn't. And then they come out in another situation and pass the ball.
No flag, Phil.
Well, there was one on the ground there, and the officials are talking about it, John.
Are they?
So we're wondering, this could have been probably
maybe interference,
a post-touchdown call. Maybe let's just see this now.
Could be throwing the ball in the end zone or outside the end zone.
Something to that effect.
Anyway, Donnelly hits Cowell 66 yards for the score.
Varnell Johnson is just beside himself. He's pacing himself around.
Well, the young man got caught inside and made a good recovery and just could not knock the ball away off his hands into Cowell's hands. And you were right, Phil. Here's the penalty being assessed now.
That was a strong throw, but Johnson was there.
Personal foul against Madison Central.
Well, you wonder what that's all about.
And the touchdown is good.
Yes.
So Amato now will be kicking what amounts to almost a field goal.
Right, 30 yards. Except he doesn't have an angle this time. .35 yards, where Donnelly will spot it. Yeah, that's correct. Well, the first one had plenty of distance, so we know that he can kick long.
Kick is no good, wide to the left, so it'll stand at Madison Central 9, East Brunswick nothing.
And you wonder if that may come back to haunt the Spartans.
Well, you look at that first down play that Donnelly picked up for them.
Becomes important.
It was a big play in that drive for Madison Central.
It was a big play, John, and while it didn't catch East Brunswick off guard because Varnell Johnson was there, did tip it, and Caswell made a nice catch for a touchdown, but you wouldn't expect the pass.
So East Brunswick will receive on the kickoff for the third time in this period. We have 5:30 left here in the first period. Lung and Casanelli again back deep. A little squibber line drive actually picked up by Pilato. Pilato on his feet, some fancy sidestepping. Gets across the 40.
Well, let's see what tricks the Bears can come up with this time. I think it's fair to say they need to get some momentum going now.
Well, the thing that seemed to have the most probability of working is the short passing game.
Marcus Borden, you see him on the sideline. Well, you don't see him on your screen, but on the sidelines, he's talking to Varnell Johnson. And I'm sure he's saying, hang in there. We got a lot of game left here. And they come out in a passing formation.
Right.
The trips to the right. White looking, a little screen, and snuffed out right away.
Well, the problem with that play is that Troy Wright immediately looked to his receiver. Sometimes, even though that's a good, well-conceived play, you want to give your receivers a little time to get into the formation and not tip off the defensive backs, but Madison was waiting.
I'll tell you, give Craig Paulson, number 15, for Madison Central credit for coming up nicely and making a tackle.
A loss of 6 yards. It's 2nd and 16 on the East Brunswick 37. Trips now to the left. Troy White on that quarterback draw picks up maybe 4 yards. It's going to bring up a long third down. Interesting, I see Donnelly covering R.J. Davis.
Well, Davis had 3 touchdown catches against Piscataway 2 weeks ago, and none last week, but very dangerous player.
3rd and 11 for the Bears on their own 41. Same formation, trips to the left. White looking, throwing down. He has his man, Lung, and incomplete pass. And you can't blame Lung for not hanging on to that
I'll
one.
tell you, he was tagged. He was really tagged.
You saw it coming. You really did. The thing I've noticed about Madison Central's pass defense is they are never caught behind. They are expecting East Brunswick. Bob DeMarco obviously has a well-conceived plan in case East Brunswick was going to go to the 4 wide receivers. Very simply, the defensive players are not going to get caught behind the East Brunswick players, and that was an example of not being caught behind, making the tackle.
Rob Beats on the tackle, number 44.
Staley will do the punting. Gets a good snap. High kick. And Beats will let it go by, and it'll settle in on around the Madison Central 20.
Phil, East Brunswick obviously has to stop Madison right here, but what must be going through Marcus Borden's mind is that maybe East Brunswick's going to have to go to some short passing if they're going to make some yards tonight.
That seems to be the only thing that's been open thus far that looks like it might work.
They had good success against Stevens last week, taking their time, and I think they just can't get impatient at this point. The task at hand now is stopping Madison.
Well, let's keep in mind, Troy White has thrown 3 passes, 1 intercepted, but the other 2 were well-thrown balls right on the money.
Been caught.
Spartans 1st and 10 from their 20. They lead 9-0. Dive play, and East Brunswick snuffs it out.
I'll tell you, that defense is looking good.
Yeah. Yeah, they've done the job. Other than Donnelly being able to loft that pass, they really haven't had comfortable room moving the ball.
Jay Adocio once again.
Back to the line of scrimmage, so we'll call it 2nd and 10. 3 minutes left here in the first period. Spartans on top, 9-0. Donnelly will keep He's being dragged from behind, throws it forward, actually, and they'll call it an incomplete pass.
Boy,
Greg Rulo, give him credit. Greg Rulo was in on Donnelly quickly.
Credit Donnelly with some smart heads-up play there. He avoided a big loss and was able to convince the official that it was a forward pass. It was more like trying to get rid of the ball rather than be tackled.
And again, East Brunswick has Madison Central in 3rd and long.
Once again, don't look for Madison Central to pass.
This is a big play.
3rd and 11 to be exact. Donnelly, a little counter inside, and it goes nowhere.
Right. Fine defensive series for the Bears. They did the job. They needed to stop Madison right there, so at least they get a chance to have the ball in good field position.
A big confidence builder there.
So Madison Central will be forced to punt. East Brunswick puts Casanelli and Pilato back. The punter will be Amato. Gets it off, good kick. Casanelli will field it at about his own 40. Looking for a little crack in the return, and he gets near midfield.
That was a fine kick by Cosmo Amato. We know he's a good place kicker. Hadn't seen him punt, but he lofted that one.
He really did. John.
No reverse tonight on the returns, Phil.
No.
Phil and Jimmy, East Brunswick has had good field position to start their offensive series, and yet they're shut out on the board, 9-0.
Well, they just got to get something going. I think they want to sort of catch Madison off Central, but maybe they should go to the basics.
Here we go. The trips are to the left. Shotgun. White will roll left. In the pocket. He's forced out. Stands up, throws over the middle.
Ooh.
And went between Davis and Brogan.
Right.
Or Borgen, rather.
Yeah, I think the pass was intended to Borgen, but Davis cut across, thought he was the receiver, and that was enough to throw Craig off.
So it'll bring up 2nd and 10. 1:45 left here in the first period, and East Brunswick needs to get on the board. They have not played badly at all. They're in this ball game. Same formation. 3 receivers to the left. A little counter here. Here comes Lung. He needs a block. Sidesteps 2 tacklers, stays on his feet.
Oh, he was wrapped.
And he picks up about 5 yards.
Well, you called it, John. Nice reverse, but you're right. He needed a block. He needed somebody out in front there. If so, perhaps they could have knocked off one of those would-be tacklers and
There was about 3 of them.
yardage.
There was 3 of them waiting for him, Phil. And they got some yards, 6 yards it looks like.
Yeah, they gave him 6, so it'll be 3rd and 4. Ball at the Madison Central 45. White looking, throwing. He's got a man underthrown.
And I would not be surprised to see East Brunswick go for this.
Now Staley is coming in.
Okay.
Pass intended for Tenora, just underthrown.
Madison, I'm sure they don't have anybody back. All right, now Donnelly drops back, John.
Staley, good punt. Donnelly fair catches it at the 20.
Well, Drew didn't catch it all.
Looked like he rushed it maybe just a bit.
Right. I think the Bears wanted to get a little bit more yardage out of that. So another almost series for the Bears.
Well, again, here we go. For the fans, it's not the prettiest thing to watch, but both of these teams are very disciplined, and when you're running the wishbone, that's what it calls for. You got to be disciplined.
Timeout, East Brunswick.
No, actually, Madison Central calls the timeout. And you see Bob DeMarco there, the Madison Central coach, talking to his players. Don't quite know why the timeout was called.
Well, look at it, Jimmy, from his perspective. There have been 2 plays, and that's it, the interception. So offensively, they had a tip ball touchdown. They haven't done anything with this wishbone.
They haven't really clicked. And Bob DeMarco, he's a winner. You see him there. His record coming into today's game is 80-36-4. 3 consecutive conference titles, back-to-back state championships, and he won a championship when he was at Cardinal Spellman in the Bronx. So this guy's a winner.
Oh, absolutely. He is just has just a tremendous demeanor and has the respect of his players. A real veteran coach who has called on all his years of experience to bring the Madison Central program to where it is today. And that's one of the better ones in the state, we have to say.
That's a fact.
We have 56 seconds remaining here in the first period. The Spartans on top 9-0. Timeout by Madison Central.
Well, you wonder what Madison's going to try to do now, Phil. They have had no success with the counter or going up the middle on East Brunswick.
Jimmy, they will stay with the same thing until something breaks. And that's when I talk about discipline and patience. And they have the lead. The wishbone, as you know, is not a catch-up offense. And they don't mind grinding it out. They'll do it until something pops.
You know, I can't help but sit here and think of deja vu. Last year, if you recall, East Brunswick was moving the ball. They went about 80 yards down to the Madison Central 2-yard line, a fumble, and it turned the whole game around.
Right.
And certainly here, East Brunswick has shown everything they have against Madison Central and are in this ball game. Donnelly keeps it. Slips by one tackler, still on his feet, and is finally dropped for a loss of maybe a half yard.
Boy, he was holding that ball loose.
He's holding it loose, and that the East Brunswick defense is aggressive. Greg Rulo making an initial hit. Donnelly slid off him, and Rulo somehow ended up back in the pile of the numerous tacklers on Donnelly.
Well, at least in this first quarter, you can't say enough about this East Brunswick defense.
The defense, and I think one of the reasons it's working so well because they have quickness there. They're able to deal with Madison Central speed.
They say Donnelly's forward progress stopped at the original line of scrimmage, so it'll be 2nd and 10 from the 20. Fumble. I think Donnelly fell on it. He did. So 3rd and 10.
Well, this hasn't been a smooth Madison Central offense by any stretch of the imagination. Looks like that's the quarter, John.
And that'll do it here. One is in the books at J. Doyle Field. Madison Central on top, 9-0.
Well, the Bears will rely on their defense to keep Madison Central off the board, and you have to wonder that maybe one of these times some of those Bear receivers are going to hold on to the ball, and East Brunswick will be able to start itself a little bit of a drive.
Well, once again, when you look at things defensively, outside of the big play, East Brunswick has done the job. They came in here and tried to hit Madison with the big pass in the very beginning. It backfired, and you have to wonder perhaps if you start with your basics to see what developed there. But they tried to catch them off balance. It didn't work. But otherwise, they've outplayed them.
And as you would expect for a game like this, a very nice crowd tonight, both sides of the field. Madison Central is taking dead aim at another playoff spot. They, with their unblemished record of 5-0, can even afford to lose a game, maybe even 2 games, and still be one of the 4 teams in Central Jersey to qualify for the playoffs. East Brunswick, meanwhile, has 3 wins, and although they are mathematically still in it, their PowerPoint rating is such that they're going to have to depend on other teams losing games in order to get into the playoffs. And at this point, that's unlikely.
When we resume play, it'll be the start of the 2nd period. Madison Central will have it 3rd and 10 on their own 20. Donnelly keeps. Pitches back to Lige. He's got room. Pull down short of the first down, however.
Right, a first down saving tackle. Looks like Garriman, 28, can't quite get that number. I think it was Jerriman.
So Madison Central will give it up via the punt back to East Brunswick. And again, that defense, outstanding job.
Just doing the job, I tell you.
And Plato and Casanelli will go back.
And they're spread out, and that tells me that the reverse is coming up.
Amato, another fine kick. Casanelli goes back to his 35. Gets up to the 40, and that's where East Brunswick will start over.
Could have been a flag there. Again, it's Scott Kammerer, the one that with the late hit. He got away with one down here on the other side of the field, and that was an obvious late hit. The East Brunswick players have to control their emotions.
Well, they don't want to do anything that might hurt them. Scott is usually in control, so I'm surprised.
Bears will have it 1st and 10 on their own 41. Again, good field position.
Wishbone, John.
We'll go back to the basics. White keeps, cuts up field, picks up 4.
And D'Amato coming up to make the tackle again. Mike D'Amato, number 33.
Start of the second period. Good game thus far, 9-0 Madison Central. Wishbone and Davis comes wide left. Inside, Rulo. He needs a block.
He needs a block by Davis.
He's got it by Davis. Rulo slows up a little, still on his feet.
Nice
First
run.
down at the 15-yard line for East Brunswick.
A 43-yard run by Rulo goes right blasting through the middle.
And Phil, maybe this is what they needed.
They needed something to pick him up, and that's it. And you wonder why there was such a large hole there. Of course, with the wishbone, it's all reading and whatnot, and it's sort of influence. If the tackle moves, you're going to have a large gap there. That's what happened that time, and Rulo turned it upfield.
Longest run from scrimmage this year for East Brunswick.
East Brunswick 1st and 10 from the Madison Central 16. Petchar picks up about 3.
Yeah, this is the type of play that gives teams the momentum. And even if there wasn't a hole there, East Brunswick's offensive line had a nice surge there. I think they got themselves about 3.5 yards.
2nd and 7. The Bears on the Spartan 13. They're knocking on the door. Score here turns this whole game around. White keeps, and he gets smothered.
Yeah, he was nailed.
I'll tell you.
3rd and 7. Big play now.
Wojciechowski. That's a good South River name, so no wonder he made that tackle. John Wojciechowski.
He transferred from South River. 9 minutes left, second period. East Brunswick trying to get on the board. 3rd and 8 from the 14. White keeps, turns the corner, gets inside the 10.
Well, it's close, and East Brunswick certainly will go for it on 4th down here.
I'll tell you, I talked about Madison Central having to practice against the wishbone every day, so it shouldn't be any problem, but they are clearly starting to have problems with it. Give
Looks like
East Brunswick credit.
Ian Cairns. How do you pronounce that, John?
Cairns.
Cairns, okay. Well, he's going to try a shot. It looks like a 27-yarder here.
It's 4th and 3.
Now that I think about it, good call, because this will put them within a touchdown if Ian can pop this one through. Important that East Brunswick gets on the board.
High snap, ball's put down. Cairns gets it up and through, and it's good. So the Bears are on the board.
Yeah, that was an important three-pointer for the Bears. There's a flag down. Let's see what this is all about.
Hold up, this could give East Brunswick a first down.
I think it's probably after the field goal, John. Might be a dead ball foul.
All right, here comes the official call.
Does this guy know what's going on? I hate to say this, but
It's a dead ball foul, John.
Right. Nonetheless, East Brunswick gets the three-pointer and puts them within 6 points. So if they can score a touchdown, they'll take the lead.
What is going on
All right,
here?
now the official is and you see 15 yards being marked off against Madison Central.
Unsportsmanlike conduct happened after the field goal, John.
This is like reading someone's mind. Anyway, the score is 9-3.
And the momentum is on East Brunswick's side now. Cairns is going to try to pop this in the end zone.
Here we go. Excellent boot. That'll put it in the end zone. Madison Central will have it on their own 20.
Well, I'll tell you, John, this series here, if the Bears can hold them here,
right,
the
we got a new
momentum
game.
clearly is on their side. Defensively, they certainly outplayed Madison to this point. So if they can stop them on this series of downs here, it's going to get interesting.
8:12 remains in the second period. Madison Central will have it 1st and 10 from their own 20. Donnelly calling signals, looks over the middle of the pass and has to pull it down and keep it, and gets maybe a yard, if that.
Right, he was looking for Coswell on that, and Varnell Johnson had him well covered. Was forced to keep it.
Tell you, that defense.
Let's call it 2nd and 10 from the 20.
Well, you'd like to see some more crowd involvement now at this point. The fans really ought to jazz it up and encourage the defense.
Donnelly's hands off inside, nowhere to go, however.
Every play, Phil, East Brunswick sending a linebacker right to Donnelly.
Right to Donnelly. Wolfskill in on that tackle there.
Amato carries, picks up 3, so it'll be 3rd and 7. Ball now at the Madison Central 23.
Looks like Billings, the junior strong safety or defensive back, is a little shaken up.
Now it looks like they're working on his helmet.
Well, that's good news for the Bears that Billings isn't hurt, because he has been a fine addition to this team.
He's got to sit out one play at least.
Big down here.
A lot of new faces have really come to the fore this year, Phil, for East Brunswick.
We talked about it before. They graduated an awful lot of talented people, and we're just now getting to know some of these players, and they are talented themselves, and they can only get better.
Right. Now, a bunch of them are going to be back next year.
So the Spartans facing another 3rd down, this time from their own 23. 6:55 left in the second period. Donnelly turns the corner, 1st down and more.
Stays on his feet.
Johnson's the last one, and Casanelli finally pulls up and takes him down. But the ball is in East Brunswick territory.
I tell you, you got to have a lot of respect when we talk about that discipline. 95% of the other teams would have gone to a passing situation. They stick with that wishbone until they break something, and they just broke one there.
Right, that right side of East Brunswick was sucked in on that play, and Donnelly got around the corner. Thankfully, Johnson was able to get out there and slow up Donnelly just enough so that the rest of the defense was able to make the tackle.
1st and 10 from the East Brunswick 33. Donnelly keeps, pitches back, beats.
Okay.
Taken right down. Pilato and Billings on the tackle.
Well, Donnelly did the right thing there. He held on to that ball just enough to get East Brunswick to commit, pitched it out, but a nice recovery. No gain. That was really a fine play by the defense.
They've been doing it all day, Jim.
2nd and 10 from the 33. Inside, that's Lige on the carry, picks up maybe 4.
And I'll tell you, that counter is one of the predetermined plays that the Spartans have. They don't have that many, but that counter is clearly predetermined. Everything else functions off of the wishbone.
So 3rd and 6, ball on the East Brunswick 28. Timeout is called by the official.
It looks like equipment again. This time it's Greg Rulo.
You feel a pass coming on for some strange reason?
Donnelly pitches back. It's open. It's out in the open. Lige falls on it, but East Brunswick will get the ball back.
Actually, he made the mistake of picking it up, and he lost an extra 5 yards by doing that.
What should he have done, Jim?
Just fall on it.
Oh, okay. Greg Rulo again on the tackle there. Greg having a big game today.
Again, if we look at it, it's just been big plays for Madison Central. 3 of them, and that's it. And this one they snuffed out, so East Brunswick will send Pilato and Casanelli back deep. Amato, and I think they better move back a little bit more with this guy's foot.
Should get a run back here.
Casanelli from the 20, and that's it. And his forward progress is probably short of the 20.
Polson is the one down there.
Well, we mentioned it earlier. This Madison Central team isn't the Madison Central teams of years gone by, and quite frankly, Donnelly isn't Walsh, but he's done rather well. But I think the big difference today is the pressure that the Bear defense is putting on Madison Central.
Yeah, I think that's a good comment. I think from the backfield to the line of scrimmage, Walsh was the more accomplished quarterback. From the line of scrimmage to the secondary, it's Donnelly with his speed. Anyway, we're looking at East Brunswick, and here comes Rulo, and he's the man possessed tonight.
Got himself 9 yards. I think Madison was probably expecting, with East Brunswick being deep in its own territory, to pass.
Second timeout for Madison Central.
I tell you, it's just amazing. They are not handling the Bears in that wishbone formation, right. And yet it's surprising.
I said it. I smell it tonight.
We'll see. That's
4:11 remaining here in the second period.
They're gonna measure this. Now, is that all right? DeMarco being out there, that's a.
They already called the timeout.
Okay.
And East Brunswick has it, first and 10.
Okay.
The ball at the East Brunswick 26.
And DeMarco's out there, even though they were measuring for a first down, because he knows he has to make some adjustments, and he has to make some adjustments right now.
Plenty of time that East Brunswick can continue with this wishbone, if they so choose.
They trail 9-3. They have 4:11 to work with before halftime. They stay in that wishbone formation. Troy White to his left, has a little hole, scoots into the secondary.
It's one of the nice things he does. When he gets out there, he makes that quick cut and is able to accelerate.
Pickup of 6.
And I think Marcus Borden sees they are not handling the wishbone. Madison Central is not doing the job, and I think Marcus is going to take it to him. He's going to stick with it for a while.
Let's call it 2nd and 3. Right up the gut goes Petchar.
He looks like he's got himself a first down.
And they're clicking. They're hitting to the outside, hitting up the middle, some to Rulo, some to the backs.
And the official, he doesn't want the chains. He's saying it's 1st and 10. Second first down in a row for the Bears.
And the Bears are up to the line.
Official timeout.
Oh, this is good. This is conserving the clock. There's three and a half minutes left, and even though East Brunswick does seemingly have a lot of time, they don't want to waste it in the huddle. They want to get out there and get this offense going.
White sprints to his left.
There's the cut again.
Cuts up. Picks up 6. Maybe 7. See where they spot it. And you speak about getting out of the huddle quick, and I'm sure Phil can verify this. There isn't a hell of a lot to say in the wishbone in terms of calling the play.
Because everything's set right there, John. You're right.
I think, if anything, if you stay in a huddle a little bit, it may signal a pass. But they have 2nd and 3. They gave White 7. Ball now at the East Brunswick 44.
Okay, another stoppage.
Official timeout. I'll tell you, we've had more official timeouts for equipment tonight than we've seen in a long time.
Might be a ploy to catch their breath, too. We've only played 2 quarters, but I feel like we've put a game in already in terms of the intensity of this game.
Okay, the Bears are ready to go.
They need 3 for another first down. Right up the middle goes, I believe that's Pilato, and he's got the first down.
Well, the official is marking the ball right on the hash. They're going to have to measure this one, apparently. Let's see. Yes.
They will.
It does look like a first down, John.
You know,
So East Brunswick can call some plays now.
You know, we haven't said much. I just want to point out Mike Pilato. I mean, he carried that ball right up the middle as though he were, 200-pound running back.
Yeah.
Mike is 5'4", 150 pounds, and he moved some people out of there.
He moved some people out. Again, it's influence blocking that you don't have to lay the man out.
Okay, the Bears have a first down, John, and they should be right up to the line, ready to roll here.
2:47 remaining. It's been a great drive thus far by the Bears. They started inside their own 20. Ball just shy of the midfield mark.
Ooh.
Rulo carries 2 tacklers.
Oh boy, if he had just been able to avoid that first hit, he would have been off to the races.
He picks up 5, let's say 6 yards.
This is a fine drive.
It's a very fine drive. We knew we would see some fine action from the Wishbone tonight. A lot of people felt that. I think a lot of people are very surprised at how well the Bears are running it.
White sprints, keeps, pitches now to Casanelli. He turns the corner. He's got the first down.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, the crowd is getting into the game. It's nice to see.
First down, stops the clock.
1:55 remains.
Okay, East Brunswick calls timeout now.
Well, you almost hate to see that.
I'm just saying, you got things going. You got them on the run there.
Why do it?
You don't want to do it, but with the clock under 2 minutes, I think Borden recognizes that he needs to call more than one play here. And because he likes the way the Wishbone is going, but one of the drawbacks with the Wishbone is it's a running offense and the clock keeps on running. Unlike a pass completion where the player can get out of bounds, you don't have that time to re-huddle.
Well, let me throw this out to you guys. I don't recall seeing it this year, but has East Brunswick thrown off the Wishbone formation?
Yes, they have, John.
They have. Okay,
right.
I couldn't remember one particular play, but it may be the time to try that.
Well, they're going to have to fairly soon if they don't. They're making some nice yards here with these 6- and 7-yard pops, but soon the clock will be a factor. That's East Brunswick's first time out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Madison Central has 1. East Brunswick has 2 remaining.
Exciting game here tonight.
And as you look at Marcus Borden in the huddle there, he would like nothing better than to take it to Madison Central with their own weapon.
Well, I was noticing
that would be something.
I was noticing DeMarco, and he's really pacing up and down that sideline.
He knows he's in a game. Well,
1st and 10 for the Bears on the Madison Central 43. White keeps it, picks up 4 yards. Clock running, 1:48. East Brunswick has 2 timeouts remaining. East Brunswick a little slow getting into the huddle. A lot of time being run off, 1:35. To stay in the Wishbone. White has it. He's looking to pass. He pitches it back to Casanelli.
that was Donnelly.
Casanelli's tripped up. Gets back to maybe the line of scrimmage.
Right.
1:20 left.
Bears might have to call another timeout here.
And they do, Jim.
Yeah.
Doug Donnelly coming up from a safety position to make the tackle there.
1:17 on the clock. Second period. Madison Central 9, East Brunswick 3. East Brunswick on the move. They started this drive from their own 16. The ball is spotted on the Spartan 37.
So the Bears want to at least get this first down. But at the same time, I think they have to be thinking touchdown too, Phil.
They got it.
And there's just as much action in the crowd as on the field.
It's spirited is
I
what
hope
it
it's
is.
Positive spirited
It
action.
is.
It's just nice to hear. That's what football games are about. Make some noise.
Well, I think it's probably some class competition going on right here.
And it's getting up into the booth. All right, 1:17, East Brunswick having one timeout remaining. 3rd and 5 on the Spartan 37.
Spread out, shotgun.
They go to the trips right. White looking, over the middle.
Ooh, interference.
No call. And the pass was really on the backside of White.
There still is a flag down, though.
I think we're going to have a personal foul against, well, let's see. They're talking to Madison Central. I'll tell you, with this official, I don't know what to expect. Well, here we go. Now we know it's against East Brunswick.
And it's a big one, so it must be either a holding or something along those lines. And that one, blocking below the waist, John.
Is that?
That's what it is. Either that or the official is saying, I don't know. Nonetheless.
It's got to be the shorts.
Okay.
A big 3rd down.
Whoa!
Oh, White wasn't even ready. Has to fall on it.
Oh, gosh. You hate to see this happen, and just a nice drive, and it was really a hurry-up type of situation. Well, the Bears have to watch it here. There's still a minute left, and
they're backing up.
I really think it's what you need to do here. They need to punt it out.
And they will with 56 seconds and clock running. Staley comes on. Staley on the punt, 37 seconds.
There goes
flag. Good punt. Beats, he'll let it roll. And it'll roll into the end zone.
I'm sure it's a delay of game, John. I don't think they got that punt off in time.
Oh, that was a heck of a kick.
A legal procedure.
And I think Madison will want to see Staley kick this again.
Official talking to Donnelly, I believe, on the field. I tell you, look at this game of football, and that's what makes things so interesting. Marcus Borden had a decision. Should he stick with the wishbone and try to move the ball further down the field, using up some clock, maybe getting in the field goal range, or should he try to score, use those timeouts, set up a situation to score? He went for this, took the decision to try to put that ball up the score, and they end up going backwards. So
I thought the Bears did have some opportunities to save some of that clock. And, for instance, on that timeout, you would have thought that they would call a couple of extra plays, but after the one running play by White, they went right back to the huddle and wasted about 20 seconds.
Well, we know the penalty was against East Brunswick. We're not sure for what, but Staley's back in the punt, and he's being pressured. Gets off a nice high kick. Fair catch by Donnelly. With 18 seconds, and Madison Central will have it just short of their own 30-yard line.
And they're going to, I say, they're going to let the clock run out, but they're ever so dangerous with Donnelly running that machine. Now, some of the momentum that East Brunswick had during that drive, they lost a little of it, but I think if the score remains 9-3, they can't be all that disappointed because really the play has gone their way. It's been those two unfortunate situations, the interception and then that tip pass for the touchdown.
And timeout, Madison Central, their last of this half.
Phil, what do you think East Brunswick's going to do at halftime? I mean, they seem to be doing things right on both sides of the ball.
I don't think Marcus is going to be too hard. I think he's going to talk about more consistency. They are playing good ball defensively, and they did start to move the ball offensively. So I think the coaches are going to confer, and they're going to go back to doing the things that were working.
And as at every home game and every football game, the East Brunswick High School varsity cheerleaders are out in force.
You have an enthusiastic crowd responding to him tonight.
Will Madison Central put one up to Wire or Bill Cowell, or will they just run it out?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't venture anything about Bob DeMarco and what he plans to do, because just when you think you've got him figured out, he tries something different. In the formation, it appears as though they're going to just play it conservatively.
Borden is trying to get his defensive backs back a little bit. Plato in particular. Inside, and there goes Davis all by himself. Plato, last one.
Saving tackle. Saving tackle right
and
there.
how many times have we seen that, as Phil mentioned before? 10 seconds remains. It's a first down, so the clock will stop until they get the chain set up.
Right, I guess Madison is out of timeouts.
They are.
Okay. Bang.
And Donnelly throws it into the ground to stop the clock with 3 seconds.
There's a flag. I guess you cannot do that in high school football, unlike the professionals, where you are allowed. That was a clearly, I don't think there was any receiver open there. So that's intentional grounding.
That's a loss of down.
Probably means little at this point, John.
With 3 seconds. I still think it may have been a smart move. He has time to,
Sure.
As you can see, he's kind of strolling over to the sideline to get the play from Coach DeMarco. So 3 seconds remain. The ball is at the Madison Central 46-yard line. Donnelly is going to put it up in the air and is nailed, incomplete as the half comes to an end.
All right, he was popped pretty good.
And so the halftime score from J. Doyle Field, East Brunswick 3, Madison Central 9.
Scott Bernardi.
Yeah, that was Scott Bernardi on that hit. And a fine half of football, really, when you think about it. East Brunswick could have been in some deep trouble and been very despondent after falling behind with that interception and also the tip pass, but they came right back and actually had the upper hand for most of the half.
Well, the second half should be interesting. East Brunswick in this ball game, and this surprisingly is not the game of the week, and I thought it might be with WCTC, but it's certainly the game of the week for us. And we'll be back with the second half action in just a moment. Well, welcome back to the second half of this East Brunswick-Madison Central game. Our score is 9-3 in favor of the Spartans. And, Jimmy, you have some halftime stats?
Yes, and they're quite revealing. East Brunswick, as we saw, had some excellent success running the ball, was able to have 102 yards on the ground. However, they had 0 passing yards. Actually, they lost 6 on the one completion that Troy White was able to make, quite in contrast to the last 2 weeks. And I think, Phil, maybe that's the one ingredient that East Brunswick is missing. It would like to plug into its offense this half, being able to complete the pass once in a while. So anyway, okay, so White was 0 for 7 officially. Madison Central 1 for 2 from the air, that one pass completion going for the touchdown to Coswell. And they had 74 yards on the ground, primarily with Donnelly running the ball. But they also had a couple of long gainers there, which accounted for a lot of yards. The 49-yard run by Greg Rulo being the big one for East Brunswick, and that was the longest of this year for East Brunswick. White also had himself 9 carries for 32 yards. Casanelli 3 attempts for 7 yards. And Lung, Pichar, and Pilato all had 1 attempt. So East Brunswick with 102 yards. We mentioned White 1 for 7, but had loss. It was an interception. And I think that's about it, John.
Thanks, Jim. East Brunswick will be kicking off to start this second half, and I don't think you really need to change much if you're Marcus Borden.
Well, I'll tell you what you may need to change is patience. I mean, when you think about it, perhaps a little more patience would have had things change. I mean, the game is very close. The Bears are clearly moving the ball on Madison Central. They're not getting the big play, but they're picking up good yardage. Again, Madison's offense isn't meant to be a catch-up offense itself, neither. So the team with the most patience may be the one that wins out.
Right. I think you're right, Phil. I think you don't go in and say you're down. Hey, you're in this ball game, and as we pointed out in the first half, really only 2 plays were the extent of Madison Central's offense.
Right.
I mean, while they had 2 long gainers, one by Amato and one by Donnelly, they really didn't amount to anything. And it was the tip ball off of Johnson's hands that led to 1 score and the interception to start this game for the field goal. That's where we're at, 9-3. East Brunswick will have to go back on defense, and it's really been their defense that has been the outstanding side tonight anyway for the Bears. Cairns will do the kicking off, number 3.
So the Bears are going to be right back on defense here, and of course looking to shut down Madison Central.
This is going to be a big defensive series for East Brunswick. If they can hold them, 4 and out, and give that ball to the offense, I think it's going to lift this team up. Beautiful night for a football game here in late October. Couldn't ask for better weather, particularly the way things started off this year with the rain. Anyway, we're ready to get this second half underway. And here we go. A line drive kick. It's going to be fielded by, I believe that's Beats.
Wow.
Beats gets up to the 30.
Saw an obvious push on Long as he was heading down the field. It wasn't called. I guess you could make that call all the time, quite frankly.
So the Spartans go on offense, 1st and 10. And they have a new quarterback in there, number 2, Nygam, Bobby Nygam.
He's a sophomore.
And he's the back quarterback.
Isn't that interesting?
Got to wonder why.
Nygam hands off inside, and that's Amato still on his feet,
right.
and he picks up 9 yards.
And it's pronounced Nigam, by the way, John.
Nygam? Okay.
Yeah. Donnelly not in the game.
Do you see him on the sideline?
Well,
Jim?
I'm looking. You would expect, Donnelly wasn't running the ball, but in a game of this importance, very surprised that DeMarco would make the move unless something is wrong with Brian.
2nd and 1. Right up the middle goes Amato for the first down. And no secret what Madison Central is going to do.
Do you see him, Phil?
I don't see him at all on the sidelines.
1st and 10 as Amato picks up the first down. The ball spotted at the Spartan 43.
Well, certainly off the first 2 plays, it hasn't. As a matter of fact, Madison has been moving the ball a little bit better.
Nygam at quarterback. Again, that fullback dive, if you will. And they're starting to pick up yardage. They're coming off the ball. Amato, his 3rd carry in a row.
And Tom German again on each play.
Well, perhaps East Brunswick's a little bit shocked.
That can do it to you.
Yeah.
When you're expecting one player there and
You would think Nygam would be more inclined to hand the ball off.
Nygam, again, keeps it this time and picks up another 2.
I'll tell you, Scott Camera making the initial hit there.
Yeah, we've been calling his number a lot tonight.
I'll tell you, well, your Camera, you might say he has football playing in his genes. Remember his brother Gene played for the Bears, and his father Gene was a super football player for South River. Played back in 1962 along with a guy named Bill Shateri. Caught a couple touchdown passes against East Brunswick.
3rd and 4 for the Spartans from the Madison Central 49. Nygam goes back. He's going to be dropped for a major loss.
Right.
That's Billings, number 20.
Right, he came in there. And if anything, that's one of the missing ingredients of Donnelly not being out there. Donnelly is quite more mobile, and usually he'll be able to avoid that hit, but Billings came right in there and nailed Nygam.
I'll tell you, like the way Billings has developed, and when you think about the fact that Matt Pazinko and he both will be back next year, they're gonna be awfully tough to deal with.
Well, we said 4 and out, and that's what the East Brunswick defense did. As Amato goes back to punt. Pilato and Casanelli back. Amato, this will be Pilato from his own 30. Still on his feet, close to the 40-yard line. East Brunswick will have good field position.
Yeah, some play away from the field.
A lot of extracurricular activity. The officials being lenient, though.
And the fact that Brian Donnelly is not on the field in defense, you have to figure something's wrong.
So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Bears on their own 39.
It's just an interesting point, Phil. Without Donnelly out here on cornerback, you wonder if East Brunswick might try to exploit that.
Wishbone and White will keep it. He'll follow his fullback. Rulo up the middle, pick up about 2.
And you can make no mistake about it that the Bears are going to stick with this wishbone for the first series to see if they can exploit it, to see if, in fact, Madison Central has made the adjustments to stop it. They hadn't in the first half.
2nd and 8. Ball on East Brunswick 41. Inside handoff. That was Rulo. So a 3rd down for the Bears now. 3rd and about, let's say, 6.
And when we talk about discipline to stay with it, we'll see if the Bears have it here. Will they stay with the wishbone or will they try to pass off it? True wishbone, you would naturally do your options.
Well, they stay in that formation. And White will sprint to his right. He's tripped up as he tries to cut inside.
Nice tackle there. Saved the first down. That was Samados.
And here's a call for Borden. It's 4th and about 2.
Too early, John. Too early to be thinking about going for it.
So he'll send Staley in. So the Bears looks like will have a 4-down series and out. Clock running, 7:28 left here in the 3rd period.
Staley needs a good kick here. They need to pin Madison back in its own territory.
Good snap. And a good end-over-end kick.
It's a good one.
Ball is on the ground. Lung has it. He's recovered the fumble.
John, I knew that was a good kick. Right away, Polson misplayed it. You could tell he was coming up on the ball too quick.
Well, too quick, but we talked about it last week when we talked about Staley, the left-footed punter with the reverse spin that sooner or later is going to pay off, and it paid off right there.
A big break for the Bears. They'll have it 1st and 10 at the Madison Central 19.
All right, let's see if they stay with the wishbone.
And that's what they come out with. They've got to be pumped up here. Rulo, pitch still on his feet.
Great run.
Fights down to the 15-yard line.
Great run.
I'll tell you, Greg Rulo has had as much fire in him today as any time I've ever seen before, both offensively and defensively.
I think every East Brunswick player on this on the team is up for this game. Obviously, they want to beat Madison Central in a big way.
And the fans are getting into it, and they must.
2nd and 5 from the 14. White sprints to his left, steps up, and is going to be dropped for a loss.
We'll see where they mark that play because his momentum. Okay, they will give him a loss. Actually, it was not a bad play. If he had pitched it back, Madison was waiting for that. It would have been a bigger loss.
I'll tell you, give the Madison defense some credit there for a super defensive play.
All right.
3rd and 8. Ball back to the 17-yard line, a loss of 3. And they go to the trips, 3 to the right side. White looks, goes right up the middle, gets a block and drops the ball.
Oh,
I think he's got a 1st down, though. We'll see.
It's close, Johnny. I think he's a yard short, actually.
I think his feet may have went past the 1st down marker, but the ball might have come back.
And he had running room. He had the corner of that end zone.
That's a tough one right there because he was, I think he saw the end zone and got so excited that the ball dropped the ball. This is a tough call for the Bears.
It's 4th and about 1.5 yards. The ball is spotted on the Madison Central 11-yard line. Just need the 1st down, that's all. 5:23 left here in the 3rd period.
Madison has a lot to think about here. You got Rulo going up the middle and you got White going wide.
White keeps it. I don't think he made it.
No, he did not. Play didn't look like it was quite organized. Went to the East Brunswick had either all this long side of the field and they didn't do it.
You know, not to second guess anyone, but East Brunswick has not been able to get outside. Rulo has been picking up good yardage up the middle. Anyway, the ball goes over to Madison Central.
Madison was bunched up there too.
Wayne Solano, give him number 46, give him some credit. He's right there.
Well, then, anyway, the Bears have Madison deep in their own territory with a sophomore quarterback in there.
Nigam at the helm. We don't know what happened to Donnelly.
There's Amato.
Amato, 1st down.
Boy, he's been running hard all night.
I'll tell you, I don't know if it's more of you talk about when a new player comes in like that at such a key position that maybe the other team lets down. I don't think that's the case, but it may be a case of his own team picking up.
All right, I have my glasses now on the bench, and Donnelly has his shirt off, his shoulder pads are off, and it looks like the trainer is administering to him right there. I don't know if we get the camera over there next time. You can get a good look at that.
He's on the far end of the bench.
They look like they're working on his left arm. It's sort of mobilized. You get the feeling that he's not going to be back in, and he is in a little bit of pain.
It looks like a dislocated.
Okay, there you go.
You see it on your screen. That's Brian Donnelly. Back on the field, it's 2nd and 7 for Madison Central. The ball at their own 15. Nigam taking a long time, and a motion penalty against Madison Central.
Right, Ngui Aggiato, believe it or not, that's his name, was quick on that one.
Very good, Jim.
I'm impressed.
If you think you're impressed with me, you ought to hear Bob DeMarco run that one off.
I guess what I'm annoyed by, 6 years and you still can't pronounce my last name. But
I'll tell you, looking at this, you just got to feel this is opportunistic time for the Bears. I mean, they have a quarterback that's not used to being in there. Have Donnelly, a big game breaker, out of the game, and they're playing good defense.
2nd and 12 for the Spartans. Ball back on their own 20. Nigam keeps it. Tries to get outside. I'm sorry, inside to Amato.
Right, gets 5 back.
Had me fooled on that one.
Yeah, he was. Cosmo Amato has been plugging away all night. He's been running straight through.
Well, and you can expect with the new quarterback in there for them to be much more conservative than they normally are, and they're rather conservative as it is. You probably won't see Nigam pitch it. He'll either give it all or keep it. He hasn't even really kept it yet.
3rd and 7 from the 25. Big down for the Spartans. Nigam has it. He's going to be tripped up behind the line. And East Brunswick defense once again snuffs out a potential rally.
I thought I saw Rulo back there first, Phil.
And Scott Brunati was there.
Right.
As well as Jay Adocio.
So it'll be 4 and out once again for the Spartans.
East Brunswick looking for a good return here.
Clock inside of 2:35 now. 3rd period. Our score is 9-3 Madison Central. Good high punt by Amato. Fair catch, Casanelli. He drops the ball. It's
Madison.
recovered by Madison Central.
Right.
And Paulson makes up for his, I'm sorry, it's not Paulson, it's 87. That was Cowell. Falls on the fumble.
And that's disheartening for a number of reasons. It takes the momentum away from East Brunswick. Madison gets deep out of its own territory, and now the Bears are just going to have to dig out of this hole.
And it puts the defense back out on the field. So the second half has been one of mistakes for East Brunswick, missed opportunities. 1st and 10 for the Spartans. Nigam hands off to Amato. He's tripped up at the line, maybe picks up a yard.
And boy, this quarter is fast coming to a close.
1:50 left.
I'll tell you, it's all been on the ground, and that will eat up the clock. And Bob DeMarco's got to be pleased. All he wants to do is pretty much control that ball and have decent field position.
Second and 9 from the East Brunswick 45. Nigam keeps. And oh, he drops the ball. East Brunswick has it, I believe. Let's see.
Borden's pointing
Yes,
that
it's
way.
Kammerer.
I'll tell you, Pat Castanelli coming up very quick to make the all-important tackle, causing the fumble,
Right.
and a host of East Brunswick players around it.
And I'll tell you, if East Brunswick ever needed a turnover to get the momentum back, that was the time.
I think it's interesting. Castanelli, who fumbled that punt, now makes the big hit to cause the fumble. So East Brunswick, again, has a great opportunity. 1:10 left, 3rd period. Troy White gets outside.
Ooh.
Hit, but gets
Picks
good
up,
yards.
Picks up 6.
And he was nailed, I'll tell you.
And boy, he's making me nervous the way he's holding that ball. Kind of holding it up around the face mask, Phil. 45 seconds left. Remember, Madison Central comes in with a 23-game winning streak.
I believe that's the longest in the state.
Second longest, Joe.
Second longest, okay.
Rulo
he's
fighting,
pulling through.
still on his feet, and finally just short of the first down.
3 Madison Central players on Rulo, and he's pulling away.
That'll bring up 3rd and about a yard. Face mask against Madison Central is a call. I didn't see a flag. But then again, flags aren't needed in this game. A big penalty against Madison Central.
Was a key penalty.
And now it's Madison Central making the mistakes.
Crowd back into the game again.
So East Brunswick into Spartan territory. 1st and 10 from the Madison Central 31. White looking, he still has it. Looking for Davis,
Ooh.
Overthrown. That's what we talked about before, Phil.
Patience.
Passing off the wishbone.
Yeah, little patience there. Davis had a step on his man. Troy wasn't really threatened at that time. If he could have had a little more patience, he could have hit him.
John, you're pointing your hand as if it should have been lofted with a little less trajectory.
Yeah, Davis was there. He got behind the defenders. Good call, though. Keeps him awake to it. 2nd and 10. Ball at the Madison Central 31. White will sprint to his left. He'll keep it. Try to step inside, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage. Tripped up by Samados.
It's probably going to do it for the quarter.
4 seconds, and they'll switch ends of the field. And East Brunswick will have a big 3rd down facing them when play resumes.
Field position is doubly important in this game because of the fact that the teams are only separated by 6 points here. So East Brunswick's going to try. I suspect even if they don't get a 1st down on this play, they're going to go for it. They need a touchdown to take the lead. And boy, the way that quarter went, you know, possessions are going to be at a premium.
And I'll say this, regardless, this is one of the best games we've had here on Channel 8 in a long time.
Really.
Very competitive. I tell you, the Bears just have to take advantage of their opportunities right now. They have everything going their way.
So we get ready for the last 12 minutes of this game. East Brunswick will have a 3rd and 10 from the Madison Central 31. And the way that wishbone offense can eat up time, East Brunswick is really in a position here. I hate to say it's a big play, but this may be the big play.
Well, as soon as this official gets finished fixing his socks, we can start. We've been hard on the officials tonight. And they're
Well, the elite official's been somewhat deceptive. I think he has it out on the media, in sort of camouflaging his calls.
Well, I think the other thing is, too, I don't think the guy owns a yellow hanky. He's just making calls out there.
He forgot it.
Anyway.
Shotgun, John.
Here we go. Trips to the right. 3rd and 10. White is looking. He needs some time. He needs some help. Steps in the pocket.
Ooh.
He's out in the secondary. If he can turn the corner.
Oh, mercy.
He's short of the 1st down.
No, he's got it. He's got it.
Let's see where he's at.
He needed to get over the 20-yard line, so he's got it with room to spare.
You're right, Jim. I'm sorry. The angle, I'm looking at the wrong market.
16-yard gain, and that's the thing that East Brunswick needed was the 1st down at this juncture.
And Dwight Lee coming up with a big tackle there for Madison Central.
Good blocking out there, too. Boy, White has just shown such excellent ability to make that cut.
1st and 10 from the 17. East Brunswick knocking once again. Back to the wishbone offense. And that's Rulo.
Boy, if nothing else, he's been reliable for at least 3 yards a carry tonight.
Second and 9. They give Rulo a yard. Actually, it looked like he picked up more than that. That's where it's spotted. Ball on the 14-yard line.
Big play here, too.
Rulo has it. He bounces to the outside, puts his head down, and gets close to the 5-yard line.
It's close to a 1st down, too. Man, he took a hit there. I think he lost his...
I think his thigh, he's limping just a bit.
He took a helmet right to the thigh there.
Okay, yeah.
It's got a smart.
Right, but it's a temporary injury, I think. I don't think that's going to keep Rulo out of the game.
It's 3rd and 1 from the 6. Petchar, no, it's White, and he carries a man in close to the goal line. He's at about the 2.
Boy, I tell you what, Madison looked confused on that one.
They look confused. They are confused. Troy White doing a masterful job right now.
And Phil, the other thing, they went on a quick count.
You wonder if Madison wants to call timeout here.
We have 10:18 left in this game. East Brunswick is on the, they spotted at the 3.
And I'm looking at Rulo. He's up. Like I say, I think he's probably going to get it back in there. He's the type of guy you want in a situation like this.
1st down and goal. Petchar hit right at the line and maybe gets back to the line of scrimmage. He was knocked back slightly.
Good tackle.
And Rulo is back in the game.
Well, East Brunswick, really, when you think about it, 3 shots to penetrate this goal line. And I'm sure DeMarco on the sidelines is yelling, watch for Greg Rulo. He's the dependable ball carrier.
He's going to have him pinch right here.
Second down from the 3. 3 yards for a score. White sprints to his right, cuts upfield. He's in, touchdown, East Brunswick.
It was the right call to make at that time. Somebody down on the field for Madison Central. It was the good call to make because Rulo is out behind him, and White had the option to either pitch or take it himself. He elected the latter, and he's got the touchdown.
And we're tied at 9 with 9:24 to go.
Important place kick here, huh?
I said I smelt it.
You got a young man down.
Yeah, Madison Central player is down. We'll try to identify him for you.
I have never in all my years at East Brunswick saw the crowd erupt like they just did, John, when we scored that touchdown. Virtually everyone was on their feet.
Okay, that looks like Samados. I'm sorry, number 74.
74
John.
is Jason Stevens.
Okay. Well,
And he's up, thank God.
Eon Cairns is in for the very important place kick. And he is a studying concentration right now.
This could give East Brunswick the first lead tonight. Good snap, ball is up, and it's good, and East Brunswick takes the lead, 10-9.
And now, East Brunswick with its first lead of the game. Still plenty of time for Madison Central, but I'll tell you what, without Brian Donnelly in there, Madison Central has to be concerned.
I'll tell you what was important about that score, obviously the lead, but as we said, that wishbone can eat up a lot of time, and you didn't want to give the ball back to Madison Central. They could eat up 8 or 9 minutes on the ground.
That's right, John.
So now the Spartans find themselves behind, I think maybe for the first time this year.
Could be.
9:24 remains, and the emphasis now shifts to that East Brunswick defense.
Right, and they have shown tonight that they've been able to do the job. They're going to have to come up once again. This is the 4th quarter.
Cairns will kick it off. And a little miscue here.
Well, the official did not blow the whistle.
And I wonder which official it might be.
He's not on your screen, folks. He's at the far left down at the Madison goal line. There you hear it.
There we go. Cairns, this will be Polson at the 15, cuts up field.
Gang tackle,
And
John.
crosses the 30.
And the sidelines is fired up, the stands are fired up, and East Brunswick just has to do the job. We have 2 players down, one for the Bears, one for Madison Central.
That's Johnson, 19. He gets up a little slowly, but the Madison Central player is still down. Phil Hostler out there first, the East Brunswick trainer.
So it is in the hands of East Brunswick's defense to do the job. Another thing to think about, Cosmo Amato is a very successful field goal kicker.
Right.
So he's already made one tonight from. So if Madison gets in striking distance, I'm sure that DeMarco won't hesitate to have him put one in.
Let me recap the scoring for you first and quickly. In the first period, Madison Central got on the board quickly. 30-yard field goal by Amato put him up 3-0. And the next series, Donnelly hit Cowell, his split end, for 66 yards. Madison Central went up 9-0. East Brunswick got on the board finally in the second period. A 37-yard field goal by Cairns made it 9-3. And now White, going over from 3 yards out, made it tied the score at 9, and then the extra point by Cairns puts East Brunswick on top, 10-9. And that's where we are at the moment. We have 9:17 left in the game. And Brian Donnelly, their quarterback, is out. We saw him earlier on the bench being attended to, and there's an injured Madison Central player down, as you see, and that's the reason for the timeout. But this has been a super game.
It's been a super game, John, and I'm sitting here thinking today it could wipe away all the pain if they can pull this one through.
Well, it certainly heal the wound a little bit. East Brunswick is still in a little bit of difficulty as far as qualifying for the playoffs, although this injects some new blood into them in that respect. Really, they needs for other teams to lose in order to get in, but certainly this won't hurt.
All right, Madison Central, 1st and 10 from their own 34. Nigham is the quarterback, number 2. And Amato, and I'll tell you, that ball was almost taken out of Nigham's hand.
That was confusion.
And you have 9 East Brunswick players in on the tackle there. They are swarming. They are fired up right now.
And we need to say something, too. There are a lot of people in this town who wrote off this team early on in the season. And we mentioned they were a young team, a lot of new faces, inexperienced, and these kids have come together. Whether they win this game or not, the progress they've made from game 1 has just been unbelievable. 2nd and 11 for the Spartans from their 33. Little counter, beats, but right there is number 56.
Wolfskill.
Johnson, too.
And he just wasn't going to let Beats go anywhere.
Right, Beats is limping, and boy, I'll tell you what. It's obvious that they need Donnelly in there. Nigham is just very uncomfortable.
Wolfskill, Johnson, and Tom Germain.
3rd and 11. We'll see if they ask Nigham to put it up in the air.
Clock continues to move, John.
It's moving. We're down to 7:53. 4th and final period. Nigham looking, little counter reverse here. Johnson and Casanelli, they're not fooled. Johnson comes in and makes a tackle. He came out of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was strictly discipline on East Brunswick's part.
I love
Johnson reacted to the play the way he should. I'll tell you what, that was a senior play right there.
I love it.
Really was. He had that well covered, and he just took dead aim at the tackler.
Did I say I smell it?
Pernell Johnson coming up
Boy,
from his defensive back spot with a super play.
Wish we had a replay on that one.
Anyway, it's 4 and out for Madison Central. They've got a punt. Amato is back. Good kick. Casanelli will let it go.
Well, he probably had instructions from the coaching staff to let it go.
Well,
unless he knew he could catch it.
It'll be 1st and 10 for the Bears at their own 23 with 6:51 left in the game.
Well, you're right, Jimmy. They know what they want to do is control the ball. They want to eat up some time, eat up some yards. If they score again, so be it. But basically, they want to control that ball. A long, sustained drive would be fine with Marcus Borden.
You want to hold that ball tight. Squeeze that pigskin. Troy White will be the key on this drive. That's Rulo.
Nice yards.
Picks up close to 5. Just a couple first downs. That's all that's needed.
All. Look for nothing fancy. You'll either get Rulo on the dive or White keeping it himself. Don't look for any pitches.
Boy, that first down play when you get about 5-6 yards really just sets the tone for the rest of the series.
2nd and 5 from the 28. White will keep. Dances a little bit, stays on his feet, and he'll pick up 2. It's somewhat ironic that East Brunswick's taking it to Madison Central with their own style offense.
And that will be the story.
That's 18 carries for White. Again, he's the leading ball carrier.
And another injury for Madison Central.
Stops the clock.
Not to be presumptuous, but should this score hold up, one team that will be very happy will be the Eagles of Edison, who lost to Madison Central a few weeks ago.
Right.
And will be back in the thick of the GMC Red Division.
Right. That's assuming, and it's a big assumption to say that they're going to beat Saraville. That's who they're playing tonight. But they'll be tied for the GMC lead. I would say even more important, it gives Edison, puts them on even keel as far as qualifying for the state playoffs.
So a lot at stake here for a number of teams, including East Brunswick. Clock running down to 5:35 rather. White will keep it and just follow his fullback for the first down.
Big one. And let's credit the offensive line here tonight. They've been making some holes. We haven't mentioned too many names here, but boy, to make that wishbone go, you got to have some blocking, and that was his key of block there tonight.
Well, we mentioned it last week, and we'll talk about him again in a minute, Jim.
1st and 10 from the East Brunswick 35. White sprints left. He'll be dropped for a loss, but the clock will be running.
Right.
And at some point, Madison Central is going to have to start thinking about timeouts.
White electing not to pitch, and it's the intelligent thing to do at this time. You don't want to let that ball out of your hands unless it's absolutely necessary, especially on a first down.
2nd and 11, a loss of a yard. Ball on the East Brunswick 24. Rulo. And Rulo picks up about 3. And I think one more first down by East Brunswick, and it's going to be trouble for Madison Central.
It's a big play here. You do want to control that ball. You want to keep that ball if you're East Brunswick. Straight dive may not pick it up, so you may have to pitch here, Jimmy, or you may have to go to the pass. I doubt it, but we'll see.
They say in the wishbone formation, it's 3rd and 8 from their own 37. White sprints, keeps, tries to step up. He's not going to get anywhere, so it's going to bring up a 4th down. And they'll send out the punting team.
Right. East Brunswick now can afford to take its time.
More importantly, we're inside of 4 minutes.
And from that point, they have 25 seconds to get it off.
Well, they're going to dance with the girl that they brung to the dance. They're going to rely on that defense.
All right, Staley with as important a punt as he's had all year.
Good punt.
Excellent.
That's going to drive Paulson back to about the 22-yard line. Ooh. And he's nailed.
Great play. Jesse James gang on that one. And Drew is coming off the field ecstatic, as well he should be. That was as good a kick as he's had.
It's
good
starting to come together.
Yep.
Vincent DiGiovanni making the initial hit there, a big tackle.
You know, we talked about breaks, and we've talked about it all season. Sometimes you wonder when they're going to come your way. I can remember vividly that Edison game where that lineman pulled and Edison scored on that play, and that was the difference. I mean, it looks like things are starting to happen for the Bears with 3:20 left in the game. 1st and 10, Madison Central from their own 34. Nygam, hands off.
Gang tackle there.
A pickup of maybe 3.
Castanelli.
Oh, Billings was in there.
Billings, about 5 different tacklers there easily.
Now, East Brunswick does have to be concerned about not playing up too close.
2nd and 7 for the Spartans. 2:45 remaining. Nygam looking, pumping. Bernardi trips him up. He gets out of bounds, however. Let's see if they stop the clock. No, the clock is running.
Boy, I'll tell you what, that's a break for East Brunswick. It looks like he had dived out.
And Donnelly's coming back in.
Yep. And watch his left arm there. Boy, this is really something.
Whoa.
I'll tell you what. And the Madison Central side goes crazy.
They're going nuts.
Well, this is a big play here.
This is everything you wanted. 3rd and 4. Donnelly keeps. Is hit. He's short of the first down.
He's wrecked.
Rulo there. Billings there.
And I think with the time being what it is, John, that Madison's going to go for it. They have 3 yards.
And Tom Zerman.
4th and 3. 1:45 left in the game.
The play of the game right now.
The crowd is up. Here we go. Donnelly keeps. Tries to get outside, pitches. It's on the ground. They won't make it. East Brunswick will take over.
Mercy.
And I think the Bears can spell. There's a flag down. It's a flag right next to the ball.
There may be a late hit.
Boy, if that's the case, that would be deep trouble for the Bears.
It is. I think it's against East Brunswick.
Oh, no.
Did you see the call, John?
I saw a player go hit in late. I don't know if they called it. My guess is they did.
Well, let's just see what this is. We're going to hold our breaths. This means everything as far as the
Personal
game is
foul
concerned.
against East Brunswick.
Wow.
Donnelly
Oh.
had his knees down and someone hit him.
I'll tell you, from enchantment height to enchantment flight, it's
Well,
hard to take.
they're marking it as a first down. This, I wonder if this is
It may be
after the play.
a dead ball foul. And that's what I think they're calling, a dead ball foul.
Well, it's not a great call for East Brunswick, but still they have
keep
possession.
And that's
Yeah.
the key with 1:33 left.
And that should do it for them. All they need to do is just, well, Madison does have 3 timeouts left. I don't think they've called any timeouts, so they could conceivably get the ball back. East Brunswick can't waste its time.
Whose ball is it? It's Troy White doesn't know if it's offense or defense. And again, that's poor officiating.
Right, and the clock begins to run for, well,
East Brunswick's going to get a delay of game.
well, that's okay.
Don't call timeout, whatever you do.
They don't need to hurry up, quite frankly.
White gives to Rulo, I believe.
And Madison's going to quickly call timeout here.
It's been some game, gentlemen.
We're trying to sort it out. First and about 25, an additional two-yard loss here.
And Marcus Borden is pointing at the official as if to say, hey, come on, get your act
Really,
together.
the officials have not had one of their better games tonight. I know you've mentioned it, John. I
don't
try to
wanna-
be a little neutral on this, but boy, I'll tell you what, that last call there, it seems like everybody was in a state of confusion. And it begins with making the right call and making so everybody can see it.
The other side of that is the head official is standing on the Madison Central sideline signaling the call.
All right.
So no one is seeing it with players moving about, the chain gang moving up and down. And again, we're not trying to be hard on them, but you hate to see a game be decided by a lack of professionalism. And I don't know how else to term it. And this is the worst I've ever seen it at a high school, college, or pro level. And Phil, you were an official. I don't know if they scout these teams. And
Well, I wasn't actually official, but you're pretty right, John. And his name is John Meggiolaro.
you can write to me at Channel 8 if you'd like. 109, 2nd and 25 for the Bears. White rolling,
Stay in bounds.
cuts up. He's on the sideline and gets knocked out. He'll stop the clock, but a great block by Casanelli, and there's an injured Madison Central player down.
Well, the clock stops regardless. I know Troy wanted to get that first down, and he still had a long way to go. The best thing would have in that situation would have been to stay in bounds.
Right, Jim.
All right, let me set the scene for you. It's 1 minute, 1 second left in the game. East Brunswick on top 10-9. They have the ball. They're facing a 3rd and about 16. And my guess is you're not going to see the ball in the air.
That's
But I've been wrong before.
You won't be wrong this time, John.
right, exactly. That's what my thought is. I think they
To put this game in perspective, Madison Central came in here with a 5-0 record. More importantly, with a 23-game consecutive game win streak. And it's all on the line with 1 minute and 1 second to go. The clock will start at the snap. Third and 16. White, little counter spin, keeps it. Get back to maybe the original line of scrimmage. It'll bring up 4th down. Madison Central will call a timeout, their second, so they have 1 remaining.
Well, John, you're the coach. What do you do?
Well, certainly you punt it away. And then you play defense. As you said, you go with what got you here.
Right.
And this game started off with an interception, and it's going to go right down to the last play.
Staley with another important kick coming up here. East Brunswick wants to be very certain that the snap from center is on the money.
More importantly, Phil, let me ask you this. If you're Bob DeMarco, do you go for the punt block or you go to set up the return?
If you mob DeMarco, you want to get your hands on that ball. I assume they'll try to get possession of that
Sure.
ball. And
Yeah, return doesn't do as good here because they're going to be too deep in their territory.
53 seconds remaining. Marcus Borden in the huddle. You could see him talking.
I'll tell you what, his heart's got to be beating about 100 miles an hour. I know what kind of pain this guy is going through with this Madison Central, with this, you know, the losses, the key losses that Madison has administered on East Brunswick over the years, recent years. And boy, I'll tell you what, he wants this one bad.
And it all comes down to a snap. This is an important snap. And Staley has it. He gets it off. A good kick.
Excellent.
Polson will field it at about the 10. Cuts up the middle, trying to get out of bounds, and he's dropped right there.
Teddy Lang.
So Madison Central with one timeout left, 43 seconds on the clock, and they have to go about 60 yards, 61 yards.
And they will deviate from the wishbone now.
Donnelly's back.
Donnelly in pass formation, being pressured, puts it up.
No one there.
Incomplete, that'll stop the
I'll
clock.
tell you, up for grabs.
Yeah, if East Brunswick's Johnny on the spot, I'll tell you what, they may be able to pick one off here.
I'll tell you, Todd Petchar putting on good pressure there.
As he has all season long. I mean, he comes streaking in from that right side.
Madison Central trying to get up on the ball. Clock will start at the snap, 33 seconds.
I'll tell you, John, the game started with interception. I think it's going to end with an interception.
Donnelly looking, he's back in that shotgun. He throws it deep downfield. There it is, Bill. That's German.
Okay.
Interception, he stays on his feet. The clock is running.
Well,
It'll time out for possession change.
now we got a flag here. Could have been a late hit. But I don't think that's going to change the interception call, and East Brunswick can start celebrating.
I said I smelled it. I said it from the kickoff.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a big win. It's the biggest win for East Brunswick has had in quite a while.
Wait, let's see the call, though. Anything could happen with what we've seen tonight. It will be against East Brunswick. A player is down for Madison Central on the sideline.
But the Bears will maintain possession.
Blocked below the waist on the return. And the interception by number 28.
My man, Tom German.
Tom German.
Yeah, he's had an outstanding game tonight. And that's what I was meaning about the Bears could pick it off because they knew that Donnelly is not really used to passing as much. East Brunswick was just right there, and they got themselves a victory here, gentlemen.
22 seconds remain.
Boy, I know you like to hear that. East Brunswick beating Madison Central.
It's a story.
Boy, you go back and you think of those two playoff losses. Madison, when we inaugurated the lights here, shut out East Brunswick 3 years ago.
Here we go, 1st and 10 from the Madison Central 40. White goes to his knee.
That'll do it.
And you've seen a major upset. The clock is running. East Brunswick snuffs out the Madison Central win streak of 23 games. And I'll let the picture do the talking. What high school football is all about.
John, I was just thinking about it. That's exactly what high school football is about. You had all the ingredients here, two good teams, fan participation all the way, and just a terribly exciting game.
John, the thing I think about is that these players that you're looking at right now have endured a lot over the years, a lot through their careers, especially these seniors. And this kind of makes it all worth it. It really does. To beat this team tonight is really the culmination of a lot of their careers, their high school careers.
Well, as I mentioned, it wipes away a lot of the pain, and there has been some pain in the past in Madison Central. But I tell you, give Marcus Borden and the Bears team some credit. I think Marcus is doing a better job coaching than he's done in the last few years, to tell the truth. And his staff deserves a lot of credit. They've been in every game that they played, and they pulled off the big upset tonight.
And when, you know, Phil, when you look back on this game, I think the one word that will come to mind is defense. They shut them down.
They shut them down.
That defense has been playing well for the last 3 games.
The final again from J. Doyle Field, the East Brunswick Bears upset Madison Central 10-9. They break the 23-game winning streak and improve their record to 4-3 and drop Madison Central to 5-1. And it may be the biggest victory in East Brunswick history, given the fact that this team was written off after the first game of the year, and certainly after losses to Edison and Perth Amboy. And here they come back and they play a game that no one really anticipated, except a few of us. And certainly they believed in themselves. And what can you say about those young men?
Yeah, I thought it would be a close game, John. I really did. And of course, it proved out on the field. You can't discount the fact that Donnelly was out of there for most of the second half and maybe wasn't in top condition for those last 2 drives that he attempted.
Does the spark for playoff brighten a little bit?
Well, it certainly can't hurt them. I know mathematically they're still in some trouble. They have teams in front of them, such as Trenton that's undefeated, Middletown South is undefeated, Madison is now 5-1, Edison is 5-1, and there's a team in Mercer County by the name of West Windsor, which is rolling along with a good record too. So it remains for a couple of other teams to drop out of the picture before East Brunswick can get in. J.P. Stevens is another one that's tied record-wise for East Brunswick. Impossible? No, not impossible, but still unlikely at this point. But we're not going to even think about playoffs tonight. This is the victory.
Right.
Well, there's a lot left for East Brunswick to do yet. A lot of work. They have Bayonne next week, a tough Bayonne team, always tough, rough group at Bayonne. And then they come back and close out their season against Woodbridge, a game that will cover the final game of the season, regular season. But I will say, for me anyway, this has been the game of the season. And regardless what happens after that, you gotta love it. We've waited a long time for something like this, particularly against Madison Central. And so the only thing we can do is close out by saying, if you weren't here, you missed a hell of a game. And I've got to say this before I leave. WCTC, where were you? So for
Give it to him, John.
Phil Hill and Jim Allinder, I'm John Meggiolaro saying thanks for being with us.